The life of BMW is like the life of any of us. It has its ups and downs. BMW came into existence in 1916. They made military engines for military aircraft in Germany. And after the Treaty of Versailles, after the end of World War I, BMW was prevented from making engines for anything at all. And so they went into making farm equipment and household goods, and they did that for years, until the Treaty of Versailles restrictions were relaxed in 1923, allowing BMW to make motorcycles. And so that's where BMW got into the game. When World War II broke out, they went right back into making engines for the Luftwaffe, and they were extremely successful. Unfortunately, things didn't work out, and they were back to making small appliances after World War II. But by the early 1960s, 1962 in particular, BMW came out with a vehicle called the New Class. The New Class is what saved the company. In fact, the company was ready to merge with Mercedes at that time, and the New Class is, if you ever get a chance to look one up, they have that ubiquitous BMW look that looks that way to this very day. It re-energized and transformed the brand and made them the car company that we know today. The New Class became the New 6, the New 6 became the 6 Series and 7 Series and the 320i and everything else that we've grown to love over all the years. Well, in the early 1980s, that's when BMW really came into itself. And I can picture my brother and I both were huge fans of BMWs as kids. And in my room, I had a big picture of a BMW M5. And in my brother Kerry's room, he had a poster of a BMW M1. And here we are flash forwarding all the way up to the 2019 model year. And it's almost like the same two pictures on the wall are presented side by side. A 2019 BMW M5 Competition versus a 2019 BMW i8 Roadster. And if I could pick either car, I only got to pick one, which one would I pick? Well, let's take a look at the M5 Competition for starters. The M5 Competition is the single most exciting sedan in the whole wide world, period. And I know a lot of Mercedes purists are going to talk about the E63, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. This is hands down a superior car to the E63 in 100 different ways. The E63 is awesome. It's powerful. It's amazing. It does a lot of things extremely well. It just does none of them as well as the M5 Competition does it. This is a 617 horsepower, 553 pound-foot of torque, V8 twin-turbo engine with spectacular engine dynamics, sits on a rock-hard subframe that somehow doesn't transmit any of that vibration into the car. It's got a rock-hard suspension front and back, a big gnarly exhaust system coming out of the back, yet it's actually a civilized normal car that you could drive every single day. Taking a looking around, well, it's certainly a very good-looking car. I probably would say that the Grigio Telesto Pearl is the single best-looking color that there is. It just looks like pure smoke with carbon on the top. I don't know how you could possibly improve upon that. But regardless of what color you're finding the most attractive, it's going to be a really good-looking car no matter how you slice it. Taking a look around, well, it has the single best brakes of anything that you're ever going to drive in your entire life. A 70 to 0 time, 70 to 0 deceleration under 150 feet is crazy for a car this size. It's absolutely superlative braking system. And then 19 cubic foot trunk. So huge trunk to go with all of the other benefits of the car. If you want a little bit more in-depth dynamic analysis of it, take a look at the video that we made just for the M5 Competition by itself without comparing it against the i8. But regardless, trust me, it's one of the most dynamically sophisticated and superior vehicles in the world today. Taking a look around, let's jump inside super quick and take a peek inside. Well, since I can only pick one, there's going to be a lot of no-brainers involved with the M5. The M5 seats 5 adults. The i8 only sits 2 adults. This has a giant trunk. That has very little cargo space of any kind. This has a million luxurious options. The i8 does not. There's so many things to love about this car. It's much faster. It brakes much faster. It goes 0.98 Gs of lateral acceleration The i8 does 0.94 Gs of lateral acceleration. In every kind of performance category that there is, and in every kind of practical category there is, the M5 is going to win. And it's a lot less expensive than the i8. But let's take a look at the i8. Now, probably the single most radical car in the whole wide world when I was a kid was the Lamborghini Countach. It was the fantasy car of all fantasy cars. If you can harken back to the 1970s, cars back then were shaped like a cube of butter. There were no aerodynamics of any kind. They had great big grills in the front to tell you just how stately you weren't. And then here comes this Lamborghini that looks like a knife ready for a knife fight. It was the most different looking thing in the whole wide world. Big tires back in the day were 225 millimeters wide. The Ferraris were 335 millimeters wide. Everything about it was just so radical and so over the top. Was it the fastest? I have no idea. Was it the most reliable? It was probably the least reliable car that was ever made. But everybody wanted one, and they wanted one bad. I've never felt that way about a car in my entire life until the first time I saw an i8, and it was like my head exploded. I wanted one so bad. Let's take a look at the lines. Well, it has lines kind of like the old Corvette show cars, how they were featuring that manta ray look decades ago, but the BMW was brave enough to actually put this look out on the road. And let me tell you something, it's one of the most exciting visual looking cars you'll ever see in your life. But the difference between the i8 and the i8 Roadster is like night and day difference. It has a completely different personality without the roof. The lines are virtually identical to the coupe, but just the mere difference of not having that top section there, it completely re-energizes the look of this car and makes it one of the most distinctive cars you're ever going to see. Let's take a look around. Well, we popped the hood earlier on the BMW M5 showcasing that V8 engine. You can't pop the hood on the i8. You'll just electrocute yourself there. There's only an electric battery in there. I'm going to pop the door open here and we'll take a look inside. Oops. So it has dihedral doors. So I like that right off the get-go because I know nobody knows what dihedral means. And so that's going to make me look smart whenever I talk about my car. So that's definitely a check in the right spot for the i8. I'm going to jump inside and we'll take a peek inside. The other thing that the i8 has is 3D printing technology. So it has 3D printed hardware for the convertible top as well as for the rear bulkhead, which makes the rear of the car much stronger, and then the north and south side structural reinforcements as well. And so again, I don't know if 3D printing makes a car better or not better. I just know it sounds fantastic and it's a fun thing to talk about. And this is that kind of car. You could buy anything, obviously. Anybody who can afford this car can afford any car in the whole wide world. You buy this car because it's a dream come true. It has nothing to do with practicality. In fact, it has no practicality of any kind. The trunk's so small you can barely do any kind of grocery shopping in this car, and there's nowhere to put your dry cleaning, even if you were to go get your dry cleaning. The other thing is, it only seats 2 people. On top of that, this car goes 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. That one goes 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. This one brakes from 70 to 0 in 165 feet. That one does it in 147 feet. Every single thing about the M5 is better than the i8 except for one thing. This is a dream come true car. It's more than that. It's a fantasy come true car. It's the car you fantasized about when you were a little kid, and God bless, you made it to a place in your life where you can have one. And why would you buy this car? Because it's what you want. And if I could pick either of these cars, the i8 Roadster or the M5, even if both of them were for free, it's an absolute no-brainer. The i8 Roadster is one of the most thrilling cars in the whole wide world, and I'd be thrilled to own one myself. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My name's Joe Tunney. You can reach me anytime at joeloveshawaii@gmail.com.